Thursday, friends. Oh my goodness, we are in the Christmas countdown. There's like maybe 6 weeks or 7 weeks. I have to look at my calendar, but oh my goodness, we are getting so close to Christmas. Are your cards done? Mine are not. I have a good chunk done, but there are still more to make. So I have a fun, simple, but really elegant, really classy Christmas card to share with you today. So let's get started. Okay, so here is the sets that we'll be using today. So we are going to be using the Keeping Traditions stamp set. This is a great stamp set for memory keeping, but it is also an awesome stamp set for card making. So we're going to be using that. I just loved this big Christmas. We're also going to be using the traditional wreath 3D embossing folder. And I've got a couple of fun tips and tricks and other products to share with you today. So let me show you today's card. Christmas cheer. Look at all that beautiful gold. It's just so elegant and beautiful. The inside as well. We're going to focus on embossing today. So we're going to do some heat embossing on a couple of pieces, and we're going to do some dry embossing on some pieces. So it is embossing away day, right? So let me just remind you of a few things. My website is, my blog is stampinqueenbee.com. On there you can find any past videos, tutorials, blog posts on anything that I've done previous. You'll also be able to sign up for my Buzz Bulletin. That's my free weekly email where I actually send you a free PDF of each week's projects. And it's got a picture of them. It's got step-by-step instructions, all the measurements, and you can print that for your idea book and have all of those measurements and everything right there. So you can sign up for that on my blog. If you need a paper catalog and you don't have a demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator, and you can request a free catalog from me on there as well. Okay, so that's that. And then one other thing, if you love today's project, like I know you will, and you'd love all of these pre-cut pieces for you, my freebie from me this week with your $50 or more order, as long as you order before my next video next Thursday, then you will actually get all the pre-cut pieces to make 3 of this week's card when you place your $50 or more order before tax and shipping and after any rewards in my online store. Okay, I think that is all the announcements. So let's get crafty and let's get creating. Let me move some of this to the side. And the first product I'm going to show you that we're going to use today is, do you see this beautiful paper here? Well, let me grab that for you because this is velvet paper. Have you ever heard of such a thing? I had not. So we have red and green and white in this velvet paper. And what is super cool about this, so here's the green. One side is velvet, so hopefully it'll zoom in and you'll be able to see that soft texture. A lot of people call this, when they do die cuts with this or things, it really looks like some flocking is on the card, so it's beautiful for that. The back side is actually paper, so you can put adhesive on there and it sticks right down to your card. You can stamp on this, you can emboss on this, you can run it through your embossing folders like I did today. I'm going to show you that. So many things that you can do with this. So I actually stamped a little piece, here it is, and I stamped some of those words because I wanted to show you, you actually, let me get real close here, you actually can stamp right on with our regular ink. It just takes a little bit longer to dry, but you can see I stamped the Make Merry right on that white velvet paper. You can heat emboss on it as well. Like I said, you just want to make sure that you give it dry time. So let me bring in a couple of pieces and that beautiful embossing folder. So here's that embossing folder, Traditional Wreath. It's a 3D embossing folder, so it gives a really good impression. It's 6 by 6, and you can see that beautiful circle wreath on there. Now, when I first got this, I was like, well, that is great, but my cards are not 6 by 6, right? So what I found is you can actually take your velvet paper, put that inside, or any paper really, put that inside your embossing folder, and I just centered that in there. So you can see I kind of have that, the hole in the middle of the wreath is in the center of my white velvet paper there. And then when I ran it through, I did a couple of them, you can see, look at all of that texture. Do you see that pretty velvet? Oh, it's like soft and elegant, and you still get a whole bunch of that wreath right around there. So you could put a sentiment in there. Wouldn't this be cute in a scrapbook and put like the photo in the middle of that wreath? I mean, so many crafty options for you with that. So I did actually run through all the colors because I knew you'd want to see those. So here's just a flat example of the white. This is some cherry cobbler here, and you could just adhere it like that. And that is a beautiful card right there, right? We could put Christmas on there or our sentiment, and it would be ready to go. I also ran it through on that red. Let's make sure this gets, there we go. Do you see all that texture and depth and dimension? And then I ran it through with the green as well. So Stampin' Up! Just calls these red, white, and green. I would say that the red is probably the closest to our cherry cobbler, and the green is probably closest to our spruce. It's not quite exact, but it's really, really close. So you can mix and match those any way you choose. But I loved that this velvet paper can be dry embossed, because wow, so many different opportunities for that, right? Okay, so let me move that out of the way and let's do some stamping. So we've got our Christmas, so we're gonna stamp that. We've got our cheer, and we'll do that with some embossing, some heat embossing, and then we've got our inside piece that we will heat emboss as well. So let's bring in a piece of our basic white here. There we go, we'll just put that to the side. And I've got that big Christmas and some cherry cobbler ink. So we're just going to ink this up. Now it's a bigger stamp, so you can either go stamp to ink pad, but with the bigger ones, what I like to do is go ink pad to stamp, because then I can really see and I don't lose control of, you know, the bigger stamp. So we're just gonna go ink pad to stamp. Make sure we've got that all nice and on there. And then we're just gonna stamp this down. We're gonna hold it there a minute so all that ink transfers nicely. And we will pick that right up. Isn't that just a beautiful, I love that font. I love the size of Christmas. You know, sometimes you need a good size sentiment like that. I'm gonna close up my ink pad so that I don't put anything in it. You never know, right? So then I'm just gonna take some scissors here, and there's no dies for this stamp set, so all I did was fussy cut this. It's a real easy word to fussy cut. So I just went right around and fussy cut this whole Christmas word out. You can get it as close or leave more white if you want around, but super quick and easy. If you don't love fussy cutting, you could put this just on a strip and maybe do a banner edge or a straight edge, and it would look just fabulous as well. I am on team fussy cutting because I don't really think it's so fussy. How did it get that name, right? I think it's kind of relaxing, right, to fussy cut. So we've got that piece. We'll just set that aside. We've got our card base, so let's start putting a little bit of this together and then we'll do our heat embossing. So this is a piece of cherry cobbler. It's just cut in half, scored, and we're just gonna grab our bone folder here and we're just gonna burnish that edge so our card lays nice and flat. I've got 2 pieces, and remember, you don't need any of these measurements. You can just find them on my free printable PDF tutorial for you. Easy peasy, right? Just sit back and watch the show. So I've got 2 pieces of gold foil here, and we're gonna put one on the inside and one on the outside of our card. Now with gold foil, I'm gonna show you 2 ways to adhere this, and I'm gonna show you why I love the second way even more. So I've got my liquid glue here. With gold foil, well, any foil really, when we put our glue on here, so we'll just go ahead and put our liquid adhesive there. Normally, this is my favorite way to adhere, right? I think all the adhesive has its place, but normally my go-to is liquid glue. However, when we are working with foil, do you see that? You can see all of those liquid glue lines. Do you see them on there? And I just don't love that. So let me show you the second way you can adhere these. So when I am using foil, I like to use my Stamp and Seal adhesive because then you don't get those lines. We're gonna cover this up so it's no big deal for this project, but sometimes you might not want to see all those lines. So on my front piece, we're just gonna go ahead and add our Stamp and Seal. Now this one isn't as forgiving as liquid glue when you move it, right? So you want to make sure you have it placed where you want it before you push it down. So I'm just kind of looking at my corners. They look okay. And then we'll just go ahead and put that down. And do you notice we don't see any marks like we do on that inside piece? Do you see that? So just something to note, a little Tracy tip there for you. Let's move back to the front of our card here. And we've got this piece that we dry embossed through that embossing folder, right? And so this one, we're just gonna go ahead and adhere that right on the front as well. This one, we definitely can use liquid glue because we have all of these kind of nooks and crannies from embossing it. So we want to make sure that we get our adhesive nice and in there. And then this piece, we're just going to center that right down on top of our gold foil. I love that kind of border of the gold foil because it really just looks so elegant, right? Okay, so then I'm gonna bring in, where is it? I'm gonna bring in some white and gold twine. So it comes in a 2-pack. You get a roll of black and gold and a roll of white and gold. So black and white and gold baker's twine, one of my go-tos this season. And I'm gonna tie a double bow because I wanna get this beautiful kind of spread out loops. And so the easiest way that I have found to do this is to just tie my whole thing right here in a double bow. So do you see I have that double bow? Now it's a big bow, right? But just like I was tying my laces, I would tie that bow. And then we'll just trim that off there. And now I'm gonna take, again, my Stamp and Seal, and I'm just gonna add a little bit right to the middle there. And then I'm gonna take my bow, and instead of putting it on like I normally would, I'm gonna actually put it straight up and down, right where I added that adhesive. And so it's going to be kind of like a placeholder, and then I can spread these loops out how I want and kind of push that down. If anything's too long, I can trim that up. And then I'm going to take that Christmas that I fussy cut, and we're going to put this over it at an angle. I love putting things on at an angle because then if you don't line it up, right? Like if it's not straight, like we might want it, right? If you put it at an angle, it's a lot more forgiving. So we're gonna bring our Stampin' Dimensionals in for this. We're gonna put them on both sides here. And we can actually go in, we'll leave just the very middle kind of open so it can go right over that twine that we put there. So I'm just peeling the backings off of those. And then we're going to do a little bit of heat embossing. So let's just go ahead and put this right over the middle of our bow where we have that adhesive. There we go. And now you can kind of play with your bow, your loops here, and let them lay how you want them. And then go ahead and push that down. Now I can come in with my scissors again and trim off any excess that I don't want hanging out. Now I'm gonna do this little banner here. And this is one of my new favorite punches. This is our Banner Trio punches, and there's a stamp set that goes with this, but standalone, this punch is one of my favorites. So you can take and just punch all three, just like that, and get all three of those cute banners. Makes a great stencil too, right? But let's say you have all of these itty bitty scraps, like I do. Well, if I only want, so we're using this top one on today's project, I can just put this through the side and punch just that one. And then I can keep going with my strip, and however many will fit on my strip, I can just punch right through. So this punch is a brand new punch. It just debuted like 2 days ago. So if you haven't got that one, put that on your wish list because you will have so many uses for that. So we're going to use one of these banners here today. I'll just move those to the side. And we're going to stamp this cheer, and we're going to do some heat embossing. So heat embossing was one of my favorite, like most wowy things when I started stamping. I was like, it's magic. It turns from a powder into this gold, this just beautiful gold, right? And so our embossing powders come in a 3-pack. So we're gonna be using the gold today. It comes gold, copper, and silver in the pack. I actually have mine in a little Tupperware container because I find it easier and less messy to just have it all right there. So we've got, it's kind of got buried there, but I've got my little scooper here, and we will be using that. So I'll just put that up here. We've got our Versamark ink pad. So this is kind of like a clear, it's called a watermark stamp pad, but I kind of call it like a clear sticky ink. So it's sticky so that when I put the powder on it, the powder will stick to it. And then I'm going to use my heat tool and I'm going to melt it. It's like a science experiment. I'm going to melt it and it will turn into this beautiful gold embossed image, right? So we have a toolkit that comes with some of these things that I'm going to be using today, but this is our little embossing buddy. So we're going to go over this. It's kind of like a static tool. So whatever you're going to emboss, if you go over it with this tool first, then you won't get little flecks of extra powder all over. I've got my cheer. There it is. I've got my cheer stamp. we're gonna just go ahead and ink this up with our sticky ink. I'm gonna center this right on there. Hopefully that's centered. I think it is. And then I'm going to use my tweezers. Now the tweezers also come in that embossing tool kit. And let me get close and hopefully it will focus, but there you go. You can see that clear ink on there that says cheer. So then, because I have all my powder already just dumped in a little Tupperware, it makes it really easy to add my powder. Then you can kind of tap it off on the side, any excess, and look, see how the powder just stuck right to that sticky Versamark ink. I'm just gonna move that to the side. I've got my heat tool here already plugged in, and so our heat tool, you will want to turn this on for a second. It may get a little loud, kind of like I'm running a vacuum, and I'm just going to do this as close to camera as possible so that you can see the magic of how this changes. So I'm gonna let it focus, turn this on, let it heat up a second. You can heat it from the bottom or the top or both. And let's see if you can see this on camera and see the change. There it goes. I think I wasn't close enough. Can you see it on there? So it went from the powder, I kind of heat the back just a second, and it went from that powdered image to now you see that beautiful gold, there we go, that beautiful gold metallic image. So we have our cheer. Then on the inside of our card, we've got this panel here. You move out my extra banners out of our way. And the inside piece, I'm going to take that embossing buddy again. Just kind of rub that in the corner. Bring back in my Versamark. We've got these holly leaves. I'm just going to ink that real good, and towards the bottom here, I'm just going to kind of stamp off, push that down real good, get close so you can see. Well, it's clear, but I think you can see it a little bit. And then we'll take our gold powder here and just in the corner there, see how it sticks to that so nice. And then I just kind of tapping off any excess. Oh, you can see I missed a little bit on that corner, so we'll just add a little more, tap it off, anywhere that you might have missed. There we go. And if you have any kind of loose bits, so you see I have a little bit of loose bits there, I can take the brush that comes in the toolkit, embossing toolkit, and brush off any of that extra powder before I heat it up. And move all that out of the way, bring back in my heat tool. This is a bigger piece, so I can hold on to it. And the magic of embossing, here we go. And you'll start to see this leaf on the left as it turns. There it goes. Beautiful. And then anywhere you missed, and kind of, I like to give it a little heat on the back just to kind of smooth it out. And so then that is our inside piece. So we'll bring back in our card here. Let's attach the inside here. Give that a second. We'll add our adhesive. You can use the glue or or the Stamp and Seal. And we'll just go ahead and center that and add that right on the inside of our card. Got some powder on my hand, I think. Okay, then the front of our card, we're gonna take a couple of those dimensionals and put those on our cheer. And we're gonna act like this is a little bit of a tag. So we're just gonna kind of tuck it under and have it kind of coming out. So we can, I want that end covered. There we go. So we want it just kind of tucked under there, and then we'll push that down. So we've got Christmas cheer that we are wishing our card recipient. And we're gonna finish it off with some gold embellishments. So today I'm going to be using, they're actually called flower accents, gold flower accents, but they kind of look like flowers, yes, but they also kind of look like buttons or, you know, some fancy Christmas bling, right? So we're going to take the small ones and we're going to put one small one at the dot of our eye, and then we're going to add two kind of the smaller ones near our banner edge, just to kind of finish that off. And I use the small ones on all of those. So that is our beautiful Christmas cheer, kind of elegant, fun. All of those gold layers just really, really make that pop. So let me get in close there so you can see just how beautiful those cards are. So let me turn the camera back around so I can thank you so much for joining me today. Happy almost Christmas. I'm probably gonna say that every week until Christmas. It's my favorite season, and I can hardly wait to decorate the tree and the Christmas decorations. They're just calling my name for sure. So I can't wait to see your Christmas creations, and thanks again for watching. Give me a like if you liked this card, share it with your friends, and I will see you next week for another fun video. Have a great one, everyone. Bye-bye.